Welcome to the Daily B Show, episode 28. Guys, starting to really flow with this now. We're going to be up to episode 100 before we even really realise. So we've got my coach and mentor, Dee Littlewood, joining me today. So it's going to be pretty fun, pretty exciting. I did forget to invite her, but hopefully she just sees me, the notification, and just jumps on with us. Hey guys, hey Valerie, hey JD, what's going on? So I ran in, while we're waiting for Dee to jump on, I'll give you a little backstory. Dee is, she was one of the first trained life coaches in Ireland over 10 years ago. And she honed her craft, she got really good at what she does, and then she came over to Australia after meeting her lovely husband. And has just been on a mission to help people live from their hearts ever since. And she is absolutely phenomenal. I met her only the end of last year or start of this year? End of last year, I think. I'll double check with her. Time flies when you're having fun. Here she is. Just get her to jump in. Hey guys, look at all you guys. Shouldn't you guys be at work? Dee, okay, I don't see, hey Dee, I don't see your, I'm not able to invite you for some reason, so Dee, if you can ask to, request to be invited onto the, I think I can do it this way. Here we go. Dee. There we go. See if that works. Bada bing, bada boom. So I was getting coaching from another coach, and I really wanted to. I recognised that, wow, people have always opened up to me and always reached out to me and felt comfortable with me opening up, and that's really therapeutic in itself. But I never had the tools to really give people that full 360 experience of letting them or giving them the tools to turn around and manage and go and change their lives based on the experiences and the issues they were having. So, and that was ever from primary school and high school, people would open up to me in that way. But when I realised after getting my own coaching that, these guys are doing exactly that. I'm opening up to them about all my issues, and they're giving me the tools and processes to actually go and implement shit and turn stuff around. I recognised I wanted to do that, and so I started looking up coaching companies to go and just be around and learn from, and didn't have any money. And I ran into Dee and her business partner at the time, and her business partner was pitching me yeah, we're doing this, we train coaches up and it's $20,000. And I'm like, brother, I've got no money, but I'll volunteer my time. I'll give you a day of my time and come and be with you and work with you just to sort of absorb your knowledge and learn from you guys. And so that was initially the start of the interaction that we had with Dee and her company. And ever since then, she's been an absolute amazing mentor of mine. She's taught me a lot. She helped me really drop my focus from my head to my heart, which I'm still in the practice of doing every single day and getting challenged every single day. Yeah, so Dee, I still don't, oh, there we go. Just come up. So obviously, naturally, we wanted to get her on the show and have her just share her energy, share her wisdom with you guys, because I know what I get from just being around Dee, and I just love absorbing. I go to all of her events, and I make sure that I'm on the phone to her as often as possible, because her energy is just phenomenal. Her wisdom is impeccable, and yeah, I love her so much. So I just wanted to share the gift of Dee Littlewood with you guys as well. For you guys that don't already know her, obviously, and for those that do, will attest to exactly what I'm saying as well. So Dee, I think you need to accept that. Let me know if that's coming through, or if you're having any issues or what's going on. So I did hear about the universal laws before working with Dee from Buckminster Fuller, but Dee introduced me to them as well, which I know have a pretty profound impact and effect. Hello, beautiful.
Hello. Now, where am I going to put this phone so I can see you guys? There we go.
Got a makeshift little stand.
Yeah. Don't you know it? Sorry.
One of the guys yesterday on the show was using a Bingtang box over in Bali to get it up.
Cool.
Could you just hold the microphone off your lapel there as well, because when it rustles, it makes a fair bit of noise.
That better?
Yeah, thanks.
Cool.
So first of all, thanks for joining me
Yeah,
and
awesome.
us.
Awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
delighted. Yeah, yeah.
I
So,
was just obviously telling everyone about how we met and our journey together. Did we meet at the start of the year or end of last year?
um, no, good question. I think it was actually the start of the beginning of actually it could have been no, it was beginning of this year, yeah. So not even a year. Yeah.
Holy
Something like that, I
moly.
think.
So much has happened in both our lives
Yes,
since then.
so much.
Full on. So to start off with, introduce yourself to those that don't know who you are, and yeah, just share a little bit about sort of where you're from, your background, and what got you into this space, and what you're trying to do or trying to achieve moving forwards as well, Dee.
Yeah, super. So I guess really just to give you background, obviously you can tell by the accent I'm not from Australia. So yeah, so I was I've come from Ireland. I'm here in Australia 11 years now, and but my heart has always been in Australia. So I'll share that part of my story with you as well. So what sort of brought me here and how I ended up here. But yeah, I feel Australia's always been my home in some way, even though I was born on the opposite side of the world.
Hmm.
Yeah. So a little bit about my story, I guess, is I'm the eldest of four and typical Irish family, big family. I've got like 48 first cousins or something ridiculous. So big family. But
48
I,
first cousins, did you say?
first cousins, yeah.
Holy moly.
Yes. Yes, so you're right. There wasn't much TV in Ireland.
Happy days. Woo.
Um, so yeah, so my mom was the eldest of 11, and my dad's the eldest of seven. So I come from a long line of just being the eldest. And but I sort of was born into this like this big family. My siblings are amazing, amazing people. At the time, though, they seemed so overpowering almost. You know, they just seemed to have these exuberant personalities, and I was just really, really shy, really quiet, believe it or not, very introverted. And
Yeah,
I
not
just had
anymore.
this no, no. So I just had this kind of sadness that I sort of came into the world with, and very confused. I was like, where have I landed? I don't understand this family that I'm a part of. I don't make sense in this family, and you know, I just seem really different. And but my parents were they did the best job that they could, but they were very I guess we were very much left to our own devices. And so I took a lot of responsibility for my siblings and started to take over a lot of making choices for them. And, you know, so I kind of started to be filled with a lot of responsibility from a very young age. I mean, I remember cooking dinners like at 8 years old and for family and stuff like that. So yeah, just so
Fairy bread for everyone.
yeah, I don't think we had that in Ireland.
That
bread,
extent of my
bread and
cooking knowledge.
jam, bread and jam.
Cool.
um, so yeah, so I just had this sort of this um, confusion, I guess, just feeling very confused. And but I was the epitome of the good girl. I did everything that I felt everyone wanted of me. Yes, I know you can resonate with that, Matt.
I'm a good girl too.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, just really sort of always did what I thought everybody else wanted of me, making decisions based on what I felt was right for them, and not really, you know, just doing the right thing. I guess some of it was to keep a little bit of the peace in home. Like there was quite a lot of you know, sort of the energies were very high, let's put it that way, quite intense at times at home. So it was always looking to keep the peace, I guess, in some way. So doing the right thing in order to keep the peace. And so I kind of just fell into life, I guess. I just sort of realized that I was making a lot of decisions, but a lot of choices, but just kept doing what I felt was right for everybody else. And I found myself at the age of 25, feeling like I had a good job. I had, I lived in my own apartment. Like everything on the outside looked good, but on the
Yeah.
inside, it was very lonely, very confused, very lost, and I still had this deep sadness. I couldn't shift it. I just didn't know what to do to shift it. And I woke up on my 25th birthday feeling twice as old as I actually was, feeling like I had no identity, no reason. I couldn't understand what life was really about. And I literally started to cry on the morning of my 25th birthday, and I didn't stop the whole day. I had no idea
Wow.
what yeah, I know. But I had no idea what the tears were. I just knew that that's how I felt. And in all of that, I at the end of the day, I literally just, I don't know who I was talking to, but I literally just asked for a sign. I asked for some idea as to what was the point of life, what was the purpose that we were here to live. Um, you know, what from what I could see, there was a lot of people just existing, and there was just, I mean, Ireland in particular around the 80s and the early 90s was a tough place to live in. It wasn't, it did obviously become quite abundant for a period of time. But yeah, definitely it was a tough place to live in. So,
Mhm.
and so there was that energy was still sort of floating around there, And anyway, so I literally just that night, I just sort of surrendered. I just asked for a sign to help me to understand what this was all about. And I had this amazing experience, which I can remember as if it happened only last night. So I woke up on that night, and the room felt full. It was like energy, and the only way I can describe it, it was just felt like love. I just felt like I was being loved in that moment, and an amazing experience. It was so peaceful and so comforting. And I felt this love and this peace and this comfort sort of wash over me. And I just kept hearing just kept hearing these words, which kept saying, "Don't worry, you'll know what to do." And I just felt so right. And I knew it wasn't my voice, but I just knew that that was the message for me. I asked for a message, and that was the message for me in that moment. And I woke up the next morning, and something in me had shifted. I just started to feel different. Nothing had actually changed. I just started to feel different. And about a week later, in the shower, where I get most of my inspired ideas and thoughts, I had this inspired thought that life is all about the choices that we make. So
Yeah,
when
man.
yeah, so everything is about choice. So even though I was feeling how I was feeling, I was actually choosing to feel how I was feeling, whether I was conscious or not conscious of having that choice, making that choice. I was actually making a choice. So
Yeah.
I could continue to choose to feel lost and confused and sad, or I could I could make a different choice. So the first choice I
Yeah.
made that day was I said, for every year that I get physically older, I get younger in spirit, because I felt so sort of spirit
Yeah.
in spirit. I felt so old, even though I was young,
Yeah.
25. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I've lived my life, since then. It's just like, just continually spiritually getting younger in my
Yeah.
own self. um,
Yeah.
which is really cool.
So we're gonna find you in the ball pit at the playground every now and again.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, so it actually just created this sort of chain of events, I guess, that started to happen, and which led me to just starting to. I sort of went on a journey, a quest, I guess, a quest to learn and to understand and to make start to make different choices and start to make more conscious choices. And the first sort of thing that came into my awareness was coaching, and this was in 2001. And in 2001, I was one of the first trained coaches, because as soon as I heard about it, I thought that's what I need to do. Because I thought when I had the initial idea that I could make different choices, I thought, well, I really want to help other people. If I'm going to go through this, I want to actually help other people go through it as well, because I'm sure that I'm not the only one that's feeling like this. And so I was looking for, how do I do that? So I looked at counseling, I looked at psychology, I looked at all those things, and they just didn't resonate with me. But one Sunday morning, lying in bed, I heard about coaching, and it was, it actually changed everything for me as soon as I heard about it. And this was a couple of years later, but it was definitely, I had already started to learn and to go on that journey. But this was the pivotal point for me where I thought, right, I'm going to do this. And so I was one of the first trained coaches in Ireland in 2001. And at the time, it was a sort of it's called life and business coaching. And it was, it was, it was an amazing course. I ate it up. I loved every second of that course. It just tapped into something in me, and I just devoured it. I absolutely loved it. And then so at the time I was living in a place called Leitrim, right, in Ireland. It's one of the smallest counties in Ireland. It's a tiny little county, but it's quite alternative as well. So I decided, well, if I'm going to bring coaching to Ireland, I might as well start it in the smallest one of the smallest counties in Ireland. And yeah, why not? So that's what I did. So I went there. I went to there, but the kind of the journey it took was really interesting, because I was in the travel industry for 15 years. So I was still doing travel work while I was combining it with the coaching. But I saw an opportunity, and the opportunity was to actually bring other people, like other whether they're coaches or healers or whatever. I saw this opportunity to bring all of us together. And so I created the mind body, like a similar thing to the Mind Body Spirit Expo that we have here in Australia, something similar to this county in Ireland, to Leitrim. And we had this phenomenal success. We had all these people that came, and then we had all these people who traveled to come and meet these people. So I just knew that it was really amazing. And we just had something. And just this amazing ability to bring people together and for us to share, because my belief is, it doesn't matter how many coaches there are, I see myself more now as a teacher, rather than because as I have evolved, so too has my coaching, and it has actually evolved into being more of a teacher, and and just teaching others on this. But my thing is actually about, we all are here for a reason. I've discovered my purpose through that journey, and I live my purpose every day by doing this work, both for myself and for others. But it's about helping as many people. Like, if we've all got gifts and we've all got talents, we've all got things that we're ready to share. And so it's really an extraordinary it's really extraordinary to bring people together, and to give, like, your situation is one that I could see that you had this passion and this drive and this desire, and would do whatever it would take to learn what you wanted to learn. I mean, you were just so ripe for it. And whilst we do need to have money to keep everything going, sometimes there's other things that we can work out. You know, we can and I wanted to really offer that to you at that time, and because I just knew that you would be able to take that and do something with it, and then continues what I call the ripple effect. It continues that ripple effect beyond me, beyond all of us,
Absolutely.
so we can actually really make a huge difference in humanity, in yeah, in helping them.
That's it. Because I think people don't understand that. Where I think it's 3 degrees, and we're connected with 1 billion people. If you've got 1,000 people in your network, those 1,000 have 1,000, those 1,000 have 1,000. It's 1 billion people right there. And so people walk around thinking like, oh, what I do doesn't matter. But your impact could impact just one person.
Mm.
That impact on that one person, 3 degrees down, has affected 1 billion people.
Mm.
And it's just it's too big a number to really understand and to fathom, I think, a lot of the time. But I
Yeah.
wanted to ask as well about one of the things you said was you went through was like you had that sort of epiphany, or just that sign to and realization that everything is your choice. And doing this work now, and getting to the coaching space, largely what we're here to help people understand is literally that, is that they do have the choice, and everything's their choice. They are the master creator of what they've got. Um, how do you find you went, especially to start off with, but now, I mean, I've seen you in action, so I know, but for those that don't, communicating that to people that haven't gone down this train of thought, hasn't come to them, and really helping people understand that, because for the first time people hear that, that's a real smack in the face, and it's a big resistance to the majority of people. So can you, share that experience and your experiences with that?
Yeah, so I guess it really so I guess to understand, that everything is the choices that we're making, and the issue comes with when I say that to people, and I say, well, like, who's responsible for creating your reality? They very reluctantly will say, me, but we don't want to really own it, because a lot of people that I say, well, do you like what you're creating? And they'll go, no. But yet they are constantly making those choices. And so to understand how that works, I've had to really study and learn how the universe works and how our mind works and all of that. So I know that's your favorite topic.
That's so
um,
fucking full on. And that is it, right? It's like you go, all right, there's this concept, it's almost like a bumper sticker that you say out there, but I was like, all right, but if someone asks me a question about that, and then they ask me a question about that, essentially I need to understand the makings of the universe just so I can explain that bumper sticker. Holy fuck.
yeah. So I
Such a big
always take
rabbit
it
hole.
back to, yeah, I know it's huge. I take it right back to the beginning. I guess one of the biggest things for me, though, is to take away the stigma, take away this illusion that it's complicated or it's hard or it's, to understand. There's big words. You hear quantum physics, quantum mechanics, metaphysics, all these different words you hear. And it's like, what does all that mean? And it's complex. And when they write about it, like when these scientists write about it, it's very complex.
Big
So
words.
yeah, big words and just big sentences, and it's just because it's so intense and so deep that but we don't need to know, like, to understand why we're creating or how we're creating what we're creating. We don't need to make it complicated to understand that. So I've sort of
Yes.
the body of work that I've built is actually simplifying everything, and to understand that, the main concepts is that we're energy. We're governed by universal laws that are as real as the laws of physics, and we can actually see them play out and how they're all interconnected. And so there's 12 laws, and then the mind is, we're conditioned, programmed, and we're on autopilot. So again, looking at the studies that have been done, and the amount of thoughts that we have, and how many of those are, like, there's 80,000 thoughts a day, 80% which is essentially 64,000 thoughts are negative that we're repeating 95% of the time. So, 95% of 64,000 thoughts are thoughts we've had before, and that we're repeating again and again and again. We're not conscious of it, but what we are conscious of is how things are showing up in our life, how we're feeling about what we're creating. And it's not about making it wrong or making it bad. It's not. Everything is exactly as it's meant to be. It's all part of the journey. But when we actually sort of say, okay, I need to become more conscious of what I'm creating, of the choices that I'm making, just become a little bit more conscious. We can't become conscious of all those thoughts. We'd go absolutely insane. But we can definitely become conscious of how we feel. And that is actually the shift, when we can start to make more conscious choices based on how we feel. That's when we can start to make things really different.
100%. I sort of relate the big words in this space to the body. Like, you can see graphs of the human body in biology, and they've got these like 25 letter long explanations for all these parts. But essentially, the bits. Like, this is an arm, this is my face. Like, there's a song to that, right? Like, we know the simple stuff, and it really can be simplified. And that's one thing that I think I and many others are drawn to people like yourself as well, that you can really, and you have broken it down into a fine art of really simplifying and speaking plainly on these topics, to help make them, like bite-sized, understandable pieces of information that don't overwhelm, that are really rational and logically understandable for people. I mean, I'd deep dive, and you have to deep dive if you really want to, I don't know, like freaking head off and get a full and deep understanding. But you don't need to do that to be able to change your perspectives of what's going on and where you've come from in those programs that you're talking about.
Yeah. Look, I have probably, I've read stuff that I wouldn't ever have thought I'd be reading, and broken it down. I know you've just got an insane mind and a thirst, such a thirst, and I kind of can see that reflection, because I was the same. I just wanted to learn, wanted to understand. One of the things, though, that was really sort of evident was that I actually knew this stuff before I even read it. Like, as soon as I started to read it, I just knew I already knew it. So I kind of feel like that there was this innate wisdom, and we all have it. Like, there is an innate wisdom. And as I was reading things or listening things or, watching things, whatever it is, it felt like it was actually, in a way, coming from me, because it was just confirming what I actually believed to be true. So which is really, and it really solidified, and it made actually the journey a lot easier, because it didn't freak me out, or, I didn't get bogged down with, the complications of how it was being, portrayed. But it's actually it's just like a knowing. This is exactly how life works. This is exactly how we operate. It just makes sense. And and it's really, we all have it. We all have that knowing in our own selves. We have everything that we need. And it's really, my role is simply to educate, but also to help people to discover their innate wisdom, to discover who they are, and discover what their message is, because we're all here to serve. We're all here to help each other. And it doesn't matter how many coaches or how many teachers or whatever, we all bring our own selves into that, and that's what will actually that's what changes lives.
I sort of feel the more I do learn, the more I understand, the more I'm experiencing down this path, I'm just undoing all the things that have been tied up within me, and returning back to the way I was as a young kid. And I've got some pretty clear memories of really, really far back as a youngster. And you're right, like those like as a kid, you don't understand some big words, you don't understand the concepts, but you know what you know as a little kid and what you feel. And that's, I feel like that's where it's untying all of these programs and returning back to that freedom of expression, that joyful, just instinctively playful space that kids are at, and they just do just create. Their imagination is wild, and they live in their own fantasy, and that's sort of what it feels like getting back towards.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if when you think about it, like there's never been and never will there be anyone just like you. We're all unique. We all show up completely differently, and we don't show up like this. We haven't showed up like this before. We will never show up like this again. So, when you start to think about that, it's go, okay, well, I'm unique and I'm here for a reason. I'm meant to be here. If you're having a life experience, you're meant to be having that life experience. So you're meant to be here. But the concepts that have been sort of, whether it's society or, peers or whatever, the concepts or ideas that, we're born, we go through this sort of life's experience, and we are gone is not true. It's not true for who we are or why we're here, because we're here for a reason. And one of the things that I say to people is that we don't want to think about when we're gone, but what would we love somebody to say about us when we are, and how amazing would it be for them to tell us while we're actually alive? And the only way that we can discover that is actually to journey within.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Really powerful question.
Yeah.
Yeah, to live by that, you would, I think, I dare say that would change a lot of people's behaviours, just to put that up in front of their mirror in their bathroom every day.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wrote about it the other day, just saying, what if today was your last day? Well, and how do we know it's not? Like, we don't. So, huh?
I'd cause some trouble.
You'd cause some trouble. Yes, you would.
With love. With love.
But the concept is that we have all the time in the world, and we'll wait until everything's right. Like, was everything right when you first came to meet me? It was right, exactly as it was meant to be. But was it right? Were the circumstances all exactly as they were meant to be? Well, not. But we made it work, right? Yeah. So if you don't take those chances and you don't ask those questions, how do you ever know what's possible? Just to start ask.
Yeah, that's, and I forget who it was that really first started talking to me about high quality questions, but that really is, like, a lot of times when we're just saying statements to ourselves and we're living that same old thought pattern, those 95% that we thought yesterday, it's because we're coming from these statements that we're saying about ourselves or about our world, and not actually consciously being aware of what questions we're asking ourselves, or implementing those new, really powerful, high quality questions.
Yeah.
For example, I remember when I first got into the property market, I did the same thing really with you guys. Like, I'm like, all right, I'm learning about property investing. It's really exciting. I got no money. How do I get into the property market with no money? Boom. And I realized that was the only question. That was a high quality question I asked. And my first property deal I did was no money down. We got investors to put up deposits. We bought a property, and we got these guys to buy in for a 5-year vendor finance option. We made, after all expenses, just under $1,000 per month. No money down. And I was going to seminars where guys were saying, man, my first property deal, I did $50 positive cash flow per month. So it is possible to find positively geared properties. I'm like, mate, you should see what I found. The power of questions is really intense. There's a couple of questions coming through, but just before I get to them, I wanted to ask, because what I get asked, and this actually was a question of mine that I had for a long time as well, was that going from our thoughts and then dropping our focus and awareness down into how we're feeling, I feel like there's a bit of a confusion when we first going through this process about which feelings are the feelings there because they're affected from our thoughts, and which feelings are there because they're our genuine, true feelings?
Yeah. Okay, so that's a great question. Okay, so Joe Dispenza has done the study of the mind, and he's done amazing amount of study, and he has explained that everything begins with a thought, is then followed by a feeling, and then creates a behavior. So those feelings, all those feelings that you're having, I've actually begun with a thought, always. Yeah. Which is different to our emotions. Is different to the what you're talking about when it's coming from the heart. So the thoughts create emotions, create behaviors, but we all have this innate feeling within us. There's so many times that the universe shows us what those feelings are. So no matter sometimes what we're doing, if we're not actually acknowledging and working towards those feelings, it's more like a whisper, a guidance in a whisper form, but it's actually a feeling. We're drawn to something. It's which is it stems from the heart. That stems from, because as I said, we're here for a reason, right? We've got a legacy that we're here to create for ourselves, and in that legacy, it's actually here to serve humanity. And we serve humanity by actually serving ourselves first. We need to take care of ourselves first. We need to figure out who we are, what we're about, what's our message, what are we here to share, and then and then the universe will figure out a way for us to share that. So it's almost like as I say, a whisper. It's like there's something, it's almost like pulling you. So we oftentimes, though, it may not appear logical. So the mind will then start to create more thoughts to create emotions that no, it's not right. So it's kind of, but what we have to do is trust that initial feeling before the mind comes into play. So it's quite different. It's quite a different, like we know our emotions. Our emotions are we're sad, we're happy, we're all those emotions. But those feelings that we have is like a guidance system. And it's like we have inspiration, we have motivation, we have desire, we have passion. And those feelings are actually our drivers. And when we start to tap into them and follow them, just see where they lead us to, that's when we start to meet. You know, they say that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And that's actually following the feelings of that, you know, because you're ready and you're actually following it. So, you know, we don't know where it's going to lead us, but let's just see where it takes us, you know. And if things come into your awareness 2-3 times and more, pay attention. That's actually the confirmation of the feelings that you're feeling. So our emotions and feelings are quite different. Yeah.
Okay. Very
Does that answer the question?
It does. Yeah, it does. It does. Makes me. It's bringing up the Dr. David Hawkins' book, Power versus Force. It's like when a lot of the stuff I've been learning and really challenged by the universe lately, and learning to embody, is that letting go of my attachment to paths, my attachment to things, my attachment to desires, wants, and in that letting go and in that trusting, I've sort of that strange loop, that counterintuitive spin on what your logic sort of says will happen, and instead of trying to maintain control and power over everything, the more I let go, actually the more power I get. And so it is that just the power over the force, trying to force things to happen, and just really letting go and just seeing how things just effortlessly just you get sort of pulled in a direction instead of trying to force yourself down one.
Yeah. And it's really about, I mean, everything's sort of transitory. So even though we may get pulled down one direction, it doesn't mean that it's always going to be that way. My sort of journey has spanned, well, it's yeah, coming up to sort of 18 years now, and on this particular journey. But it's, I mean, it's taken me on some really crazy roads, but all of them have led me to be here in this moment. They've all taught me exactly what I needed. And it was probably about 4 years ago that I really got to understand this concept of letting go and surrendering. And
Yeah.
and I literally, I was at a retreat, and I did just that. I just sort of surrendered myself energetically, and I just sort of said, right, you know, I'm here for a reason. I'm here to help people discover the gold within them and discover their why. So, you know, place me where I need to be. And it's brought me on an incredible journey. And but I am guided solely by how something feels. If something feels right, I'll do it. If it doesn't feel right, I'll pause. We're often too quick to actually make decisions. And
Yeah.
as soon as our mind comes into play, it'll make the most logical and safest decision. But if we really want to actually go on this journey, we got to be okay with being uncomfortable. We got to get uncomfortable. We got to get way out of our comfort zone and stay there for a while.
Do what makes your asshole sweat.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's really really important, that you know, it's okay to be comfortable. You know, as I say to people, like, you know, they have well, what if this happens, and they have all these fears and everything else. And the only thing I ask is, well, you know, if you make this choice, are you going to die? Because really, if you're
Most
not going
likely
to
not.
die, if you're not going to die, just try it. Just give it a go. What have you got to lose? But you have got so much more to lose if you just stay in your comfort zone, because life will pass you by. And it just does. Time is the one thing we don't know how much we've got of, and we don't know, and we can never get it back. So we got to start today, now.
One of the things that you say in your presentation, that you do your half-day presentation, which I know has had an impact on a lot of people, because it's one of the probably most common things that people bring up, that said that was just a penny drop moment, was towards the end, when you say to them, are you sick of being an extraordinary person living in an ordinary life?
Mm. Yeah,
And
yeah.
it really is just that, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the ordinary life is the conditioning, is, you know, the expectations, and sort of we kind of lose ourselves in all of that, and that's just, you know, getting by existing. And you know, certainly, I was at a course recently, and one of the things they spoke about was setting sort of these what they call life musts. So what
Yeah.
we must experience in life, you know.
Be on the Daily B show.
They're done. And so yeah, so it's like, so it really gets you to start thinking, you know, because, you know, when is now the right time to actually start to create the pathway to those life's musts. You know, you don't want to get to the end and then sort of say, oh gosh, I wish I'd done that. I regret not doing that. You know, and so many people, if they continue to live that ordinary existence, because we're all extraordinary. I mean, like, beyond all capacity of understanding how extraordinary we actually are. Like, we're infinite beings of unlimited potential. Like,
Yeah.
like we're connected to everything and everyone, and the same energy, that the same universal energy that that creates nature and connects nature with everything, we're connected to that. Like, you know me, I've such a resonance with trees. And these because
Yeah, you do.
yeah, I do. I love trees. I'm surrounded by trees in my house. I love them.
I
But
love you too.
but when I look at a tree, I mean, I've got one just out my window here, but when I look at a tree, and a tree is something that's in nature, and it grows. And like, even if when you look at times when there's been bushfires and stuff like that, and things like that, there's still trees that are sort of standing there. So against the elements, they get, wind and rain. And so, I mean, we're the same. Life throws us challenges. It throws us hurdles. It's not easy at times. And, however, the tree has this amazing capacity to withstand so much that nature,
Yeah,
gives it. And the human spirit is the same. It
yeah,
it takes an awful lot to actually kill the human spirit. That even in the
yeah,
midst of trauma and immense challenges, that there is something within that has this capacity to shift it at some point, for us. And we have the opportunity to work with the energy, with the universal energies. We have, when we talk about letting go, it's like actually trusting and working with the universal energies, their guidance system. Because if you look at a tree as well, and it's like, if the wind is blowing in a certain direction, the branches and the leaves are blowing in that same self direction. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So, but you don't see a branch of a tree going, oh, well, bugger you, I'm just going to go in my own direction and start to
yeah,
blow in the opposite way of the wind, right? It doesn't.
yeah,
It
true.
flows with the wind. Now we're
Yeah,
connected to the exact same energy. And if we were to
yeah,
just let go and trust that the universe will guide us and show us the way, man,
yeah,
does everything
yeah.
change.
I tell people sometimes like I'm just a leaf floating in the wind. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're like,
Yeah.
righto, Matt.
Yeah, but it's like, well, I'm a tree.
Yeah.
And
You know what?
yeah.
When I was in some pretty heavy spaces, like after getting out of the psych ward and just still struggling a bit with life, I remember like I would literally go and look at trees and just think to myself like, there's never been a tree like this before. There's never going to be one after it, and it was just showing me a reflection of myself. Now I can see that's what it's doing, but I'll literally just find the tiniest things to lift my spirits, and trees
Mm,
often were some of the things that I would be like, that's fucking cool.
mm,
That's so cool, man.
absolutely. And it's so cool. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And,
We got a
and
question
we've just
from,
forgotten. Yep.
no, finish what you're going to say first.
Yeah, I was just saying, we've just forgotten. And
Yeah.
I'm here to help people remember. Yeah. So yeah,
You do a
what's
fucking
the
good job of it too.
question?
So the question's from Valerie Lowe. She says, how do you keep your light while hearing really hard stories? And well, you basically do this for a profession, so best person to
Yes.
ask.
Yeah. So, one of the things that I've had to learn is around detachment. Not only just so we can be connected but detached, right? So I understand that everybody is going through their own human experience.
Yep,
And if I go back to the laws, the universal
my
laws,
favorite.
yes. So if we look at the law of relativity, so this law states that we have tests of initiation in order to strengthen the light within, and it's all relative to us. So we actually come to have this human experience to learn, and it's through the learning that we actually evolve and grow. And we discover our own light, and we actually enhance our light and grow our light and evolve our light through using that law, through the tests of initiation, or all those challenges and experience that we have.
Yep,
So one of the things that I understand is that each person is having their own unique experience, and it's
yep,
all part of their personal growth, of their own unique personal evolution. So
Yeah.
I have learned to be connected yet detached. So I can actually hear what they've got to say, and then so I'm not getting involved. I'm not bringing myself into that. I'm actually allowing them to express what they're experiencing, but also help them to balance it out so they can actually discover that light within, because the stories and the traumas and the darkness is actually, sometimes we have to look at the darkness. We have to go into the darkness in order to uncover or discover the light. But both coexist. The darkness and the light
Yeah.
always coexist. We can't have a world where the opposites don't exist, coexist. So we have light, dark, up, down, cold, hot. They all coexist. So, however, a lot of people will continually just look at the darkness and not understand that there is light there as well. So I actually
Yeah.
help them to understand that what the light is, and I guide them through discovering the light.
Yeah. And that can
Mm-hmm.
even be equally as unsupportive the opposite way, when we put things, experiences, or people on pedestals as well, and it's out of balance that way. Well, I've
Yeah.
got a bit of a challenge as well for you. So Madonna says, "I'm not sure we've forgotten. I'm sure we've chosen a lot of disconnection with each other and our environment as a response to the massive stresses we endure in modern tech life." Can you respond to that?
Okay, so everything is our perception. How we perceive things is how we perceive them. Yeah. So we have these experiences between the ages of 0 and 8. We have these experiences, and we create a model of the world in which we can make sense of those experiences that we have. And then we continually build upon those. So we build upon those, and that's how we perceive life. We perceive people in a certain way, we perceive life in a certain way, we perceive experiences in a certain way, and we continually spend our life building evidence to support our perceptions and our understanding of the world. So so one of the perceptions may be that there is you know what were the words that she said there about technology?
I'm not sure we've forgotten, but I'm sure we choose a lot of disconnection with each other and our environment as a response to the massive stresses we endure in modern tech life.
Yeah. So what the perception there is of disconnection.
Yeah.
And we're looking, it could be the darkness. We're looking at stress. That could be the darkness for her, because I'll refer back to the previous question. So we have those areas where we're perceiving that that is the reality. And so the more we perceive it, the more we think about it, the more we think about it, the more we create it. So it becomes into our awareness. Now, I understand that so much exists out there. However, I'm learning to balance out those perceptions. So I actually perceive the world as a whole, complete, and very beautiful place to be. And the more that we can actually balance out the perceptions to see that with disconnection, there has to be connection. We can't have one without the other. It's a law of
Yep.
polarity. They both coexist. So when it's in our awareness, what happens then is it's an opportunity for us to understand, where did that perception of disconnection come from? Where did that perception of stress come from? And is that true? Where is there, and then where is there connection? Where is there calm or flow or peace or whatever it is? Because both coexist. We have these experiences to actually, because in a way, I mean, I obviously in a way, everything's a reflection. Everything is a reflection of in here. And
Please explain.
so so everything we experience outside of ourselves is a direct reflection of inside of ourselves. And the things that are reflecting, are being brought to our attention, are triggering us, are aspects of us that are ready to be transmuted and learned to own and love. Okay, so we have all these, I mean, we're whole and we're complete, and we are here to learn and to love all aspects of us. So there might be certain aspects that we don't like. So disconnection for that lady might be one of them. And that's what she's experiencing. But it's a disconnection to self. It's actually not a we're seeing it out here. How else do we become aware if we don't see it outside of ourselves? But if it triggers us, if it's something that is brought to our attention, then we get an opportunity to make a new choice, right? We can either continue to keep repeating the same program that has brought that perception into our awareness, or we can see it as an opportunity to say, okay, where am I disconnected within myself?
Yeah.
And work through it.
Beautiful. Yeah. So I trust that makes sense to you guys. I love this stuff. I love listening to you. I love just absorbing it. And I've got ideas coming out of my head as well at the moment.
That's okay.
I'm thinking about the hero's journey and the universal laws, and just the how that could be. I feel like for me that's a pretty profound understanding of Joseph Campbell's hero story, although it's just sort of a metaphoric, mythological framework of our journey through our own conscious awareness. But to understand that, it helped me shine a light on what I'd been through and make sense of the path that I've been on, what I'm in at the moment, and then also to understand what obstacles are coming ahead of me and just to expect them. And it really did help me understand how I can then, once I got that understanding, I now feel like I can meet things head on with a lot more joy and ease and effortlessness, even though I'm still going to have that human experience of pain and challenge and struggle and frustration, all these things that are going to trigger me in whatever ways, met with a lot more acceptance and a lot less resistance.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. The more we resist, the more it persists. So, we push things, we push things away from us, but whatever we're running into, running away from, we're running actually into. So we'll keep running into it until we sort of say, okay, this is my current reality. This is what's showing up. I got to own. I got to say, right, this has been created for a reason. And it's not just happening to you, it's actually happening from you. Like you've created because you're here to learn to love that aspect of you, or whatever it is to learn. And you're right, the more of this you actually implement into your life, the easier it is. Like I'm on the exact same human journey as everyone else. And, and there have been huge challenges. One of the things that I have the ability though to do is work through them very quickly, because I see now all opportunities, all challenges are just opportunities for me to grow and to learn. And that's why we're here, and that's why I'm here. So if something shows up, it's like, okay, I could go down that rabbit hole of getting all caught up in the story and in the, and all of that. But I've just got to say, right, it's happening for a reason. I've co-created this for me to learn. So I need to do something about it. And then I start to work through it about what it means for me and how I'm meant to show up in it. So, yeah.
Yeah. And you skipped over that there really eloquently, but it's such a profound reframe from the way most people are thinking and have been brought up, is to define their challenges in life as opportunities. And it's another one of those bumper stickers that you can go as deep as that makes up of the universe. But essentially, what I tell people as well, you don't need to necessarily even believe it to your core right now or embody it, but just be open to the possibility that is your truth. All your challenges are actually your opportunities. And because when you really embody that, like, what a game changer. What a game changer.
It's huge. It's absolutely huge. Like, and it actually stops suffering. Like we don't need to suffer in whatever that is, because it's, you know, it's a story. But when the story doesn't define us, it's like, what do we do with what's coming up? We've got to face it and sort of say, not resist it. We've got to face it and say, right, I've co-created this. I need to learn from this, and that it's an opportunity. Everything now is an opportunity. You know, we're constantly trying to figure out, you know, if I make this choice or I make this decision or I do this, then this might happen. And you know, we're looking to the future all the time, and we cannot connect the dots looking forward. We just can't. We can only look back and say, I can see now exactly that led to that, that led to that, and that brought me to here. So, but
Yep.
in that moment, we're looking forward, and we can't predict what the future is going to be. All we can do is be in the present moment. And then when we've gone through whatever that experience is, then we can look back and see actually how all the dots connected, and to actually embrace and that where we're at then at that point.
Yeah. And with the 95% of the thoughts that we do have yesterday, essentially that's what's creating the same experiences today. So if we are going to project anything, that's where visualizations, affirmations come into it, where you can project out into the future visions and feelings and experiences where your subconscious doesn't know the difference between your present or your future or your thoughts. It just
Yeah.
knows what it's feeling, and so you
Yeah.
put that out into the future to create a little bit more, like cut down that 95% of the same thoughts as yesterday and create a few more ones.
Definitely.
I wanted to touch on, because it was asked as well a little bit earlier, what your connection with Australia was.
Oh,
Bringing that
okay.
full circle.
So, so when I was a little girl, I used to talk about Australia. Now, I come from a very staunch Irish family, and yes, in Ireland we do have a lot of immigration, but I just spoke about Australia for a long, long time. And my mom was baffled. Always, I did have an aunt who lived here for a while, but my mom was just baffled as to how I felt about Australia, how I used to talk about it. And so when I first got a job in a travel agency, the first ticket I bought was to Australia. I got it at a really
Yeah.
cheap rate, and it was like wonderful. And I landed into Sydney, and I landed at 11 o'clock at night, and I got picked up by my friend that I was staying with, and went stayed the night at their house. And then the next morning I got on the train and I went to the Sydney Opera House, and I stood up on the steps of the Sydney Opera House, and I had this feeling that I was home just literally wash over me. And I
Wow.
must have stood there for about 20 minutes until this man came up to me. He must have been watching me or something, and he came up to me and says, "Did you want your photo taken?" So
Absolutely.
but I was just embodying this feeling of being home. It was just like I was actually just felt like I was home. And I went back, and I just couldn't settle back in Ireland. I came for 3 weeks. I went to Sydney and I went up to Darwin, and I met my brother up there, and because he was traveling for a while. And then I came back over for 8 months, and I did some traveling around and had a great time, and it just resonated with me so much. And then I went back obviously after the 8 months, and I was in a relationship at the time, and I just couldn't settle really back in, and that relationship ended. And 3 months later, in a pub in Dublin where most people meet people, my now husband Jason, I met him there. And when I heard his accent, I was like, "Oh my gosh, he's Australian!"
Bold. Wrap him up, I'll take him.
Yeah. So we started dating at the time, and obviously history is what it is. We got married and we had children. Actually lived in Ireland because he literally had just arrived, in December and this was March, so he was only over 3 months to come and do his European travels. And he lands in Dublin and meets me, and then ends up in this relationship. But so we stayed there until 2007. I met him in 2000. We stayed there till the end of 2007, and we came over. We came over to Australia then. So I just had to wait a bit of time. But I often say, because as soon as I said to my mom, that I'd met this guy and he was from Australia, she said, "Oh, you're going to be gone. You're going to be gone." She knew it. But one of the things I always often say is, I feel that Jason came to Ireland to bring me home, because because this is my home and this is where I am.
So beautiful.
Yeah. So it's really cool. So yeah.
And Jason is adorable too. I would have married him if you didn't.
He's a really cool guy. Yeah. He's a really
awesome.
cool guy. Yeah. So so that's my Australian journey.
Yeah, it's awesome. I've heard it before, but I couldn't listen to it again.
So what were you going to ask them?
Yeah, can you share with everyone just a bit about what you're doing in the new year? Because there's a few exciting new things on the horizon, and what you're up to, what you can offer these guys, and where to find you as well if they want to connect.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure they do.
So one of the things that I just want to just share is that I'm here on a mission, or I have this vision or this idea. And we were talking about numbers a little bit earlier on, and so my vision or my quest is to help 1 million people to connect to, open, and live from their heart space, and to really connect with their own innate wisdom, and to let that be their own guiding force moving forward. And so I guess everything that I do has that intention. But we were talking earlier about we're 3 degrees from 1 billion people, and if we look at 1 million people and then we look at the population of, say, somewhere like China, there's billions of people there.
2 degrees away from 1 million. Only 2 degrees away from 1 million.
Yeah.
So literally,
it's not a huge number, but that's my vision, and I know I can create that ripple effect. So I have some amazing programs that I run. So we have, in January 19th, we have a 1-day event called Reset Your Year. So everything we do is under the word reset. So we help people to reset the programming, reset everything that they're currently creating. And so we've got Reset Your Year on the 19th of January, and which is a whole day, which will include a fire walk for anyone who's game.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. I've done it. It's amazing. It's really about setting up your year, and then I'm going around the country to do our half-day seminar, which is Reset Your Life, which is sharing this information and a lot more, which you obviously know well about. And we have our program, which is our Reset Experience, which is our 2-day full-on program to really implement the learning. Because as we know, Matt, learning in itself is great, but it doesn't change anything really. It's actually only applying the learning that changes our reality. So we provide those spaces to apply the learning so that we can start to change reality. So so we've got all those a full calendar for next year. And the exciting part of it is we're actually bringing our 2-day events to Ireland this next year.
Woo! Yeah.
Yes, our first European one. So it's so cool.
Beautiful. Yeah, really cool. So that little town again, or where?
No, this is Dublin. I'm going to take it to the big smoke.
Big smoke. Beautiful. And can I just say as well, with those reset experiences, it is literally like a death and a rebirth that you'll go through. And
Yeah.
with that, because I don't think people understand what creating change actually means. A lot of people just, you know, put on a different shirt, they redo the drapes, metaphorically speaking, of their life, and they're not actually changing the fundamental structure of their core foundation within their being, which is what Dee takes you through. And it is really, it's a phenomenal experience to go through. It really does give you an experiential understanding of what it takes and what is possible and the changes that can be created like that. But it is literally a death of an aspect of your ego and your programming, and a rebirth of the new version of you within that space. And essentially this work is never ending. It's not a quick fix pill to transform your life forever, but this work is never ending, and the work and diving within yourself is never ending. That's a fucking good start and a good experience to really understand what's truly possible, and to really give you, like you said, that restart and kickstart into a new pathway. And it really does take a really small change to create a massive difference. But those reset experiences are fucking big changes for an even bigger outcome as well. So that's my $2 worth in on that anyway.
Thanks, Matt. And I think one of the things that's important is to know that we're not just about, you know, come and spend this weekend with us and then see you later. We're dedicated to, you know, as long as people are disciplined and committed, we are dedicated to your discipline and commitment to ensure that you're successful. And, you know, there are times when it feels like afterwards you kind of go backwards, and I'm sure we've all been to courses where, you know, we get very inspired, but then sort of life can sometimes take over, but we don't go anywhere. We're very dedicated to staying on course with you for as long as you need us. So, you know, I think that's really important to know, because a lot of people get, you know, well, what happens afterwards, you know, and, you know, that sort of thing. So just know that I'm committed to each and every person that I'm connected with, and that works with me. Yeah.
Cool. And can talk about the referral offer if they get people along to your Reset 2019 as well.
Yeah. So if anyone obviously gets people to the 2-day to the half-day event, and then they get to book into the full program, then there is a referral fee of $100, or 250 of infinity dollars, which is 250 towards a course yourself. Yeah.
So get amongst it, guys. And where can they find you online as well to connect with you?
Yeah, so it's Infinity Events, or find me on Facebook. I know I have to get into Instagram. I know it's a platform. I just haven't got there yet.
Power of course. No. If you're not there, you're not there. Go with the wind, baby.
I know.
Fuck
I don't
Instagram.
Even think oh no, I know I have to do it, but I am on Facebook. And so find me on Facebook, our Infinity Events, and the website is infinityevents.co. But please forgive the website. It was literally a quick get something together, and we are working on getting and launching a brand new one. And today I've just launched my online program called Reset Your Life online program, and you can find out the details of that on the Facebook page as well.
Definitely check it out. And I've got a new book coming out. It's called the Get Fucked and Do It Anyway method. So that's going to help people basically with what we're talking about.
That is so you, Matt. You're hilarious.
It's dropping out of our head, and this is where it came from, right? The other day, I literally had this amazing idea. I'm like, it just felt like that feeling, that knowing, right? It was there. And then within seconds, I observed myself come up with all this bullshit reasons and excuses why it won't work, what might fuck up. And I'm like, and I was just sitting there just bewildered at myself going, how the fuck and where did that come from? And then I went, you know what? Fuck it. Get fucked thoughts. I'm going to go do that anyway. And that was literally it, right? And I'm like, well, I'm making a book and sharing this with people. So that's the 3 steps to get fucked and do it anyway method. And I'll put it into an ebook that I'll be releasing pretty soon for everyone to help just give them a bit of oomph behind their really trusting their intuition and their guidance. And their heart.
Good. That's awesome, Matt. That's awesome. I must admit, you are I guess when I first met you, you just wanted to learn and absorb, and I think you were learning and absorbing at such a fast rate, and almost to the point of sort of overwhelmment or confusion and stuff like that. And then since then, though, you've really honed in on, okay, on taking those pieces and just sharing that. And and I think that's what's really been a massive shift. And you talked about the change, and one of the things that I noticed when you came and did what was then the retreat with us is, like, you came in like as a sort of a funny, kind of jokey sort of little boy kind of thing, and but there were
The class
afterwards,
clown.
the class clown, but afterwards there was just this sense of maturity, and I'm actually seeing a lot more of that now, just even in what you're doing and how you're doing that. So even though you obviously combine it with your incredible personality, and that's you. Do you know what I mean? So you haven't lost that, which is amazing and great. However, it's really good to see you now just honing in on those few things rather than it being everything, which is really cool.
Yeah, because there is a lot. There's a
There
lot.
was a lot. There was a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, a lot of
yeah,
talking to figure it all out, but it was good.
yeah. I appreciate that, and it has been a journey and a process, and um, it was my analytical, logical mind that needed to make sense of all this stuff first. I
Mm,
think to just
yeah,
just get that proof for myself, but then it did get to the point where I recognized that I need to start putting shit into action now. So
yeah.
I've learned it. Yeah, I understand it now. Now it's just I'm going so deep into some information. It's like, well, this is a never-ending journey. So we can we
No,
can continue this later.
yes, definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
Thanks,
So
Matt.
no, I appreciate it. Thanks for jumping on. Always awesome. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, it's awesome. It was really cool.
Yeah.
I
And
was
guys,
I
thanks
was
for
really
joining
worried
us.
about the technology at the beginning, but now it's like, oh, this is easy. I can do this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it. It's always easier.
Yeah.
Once you take that
Hmm.
leap of faith.
That's it.
Yeah. Any last message you'd like to deliver to everyone before we close this off for the day?
I guess just allow yourself to breathe into your heart today, and start to listen to the whispers that are in there, and just see where it guides you just for today. Give it a go. Yeah.
You heard it here first on the Daily Bee. Thanks, guys. Keep it real. Have an
Thanks.
awesome day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks. See ya. Bye.
Bye.